but I am. So I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I went to the Air Force Academy. If anybody's familiar with that, it's one of the service academies in Colorado Springs, and that's where I met my wife, Amanda. And she was stationed out at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and I was stationed out in Los Angeles, and when we got married, they moved me to Dayton. So that's what brought us to Ohio in 2005. Then she went to Ohio State and did a PhD program there and got a degree in economics, and now teaches here at the University of Akron. So that's a pretty solid connection, right? Economics, anybody? Dr. Weinstein? No? Okay, she's definitely the coolest teacher out there. So that's what brought us up to Northeast Ohio, which is pretty cool. So this is neat for me to be here, A, because we're all young people, and yes, I'm looping myself in with that, with you guys, and B, because Amanda teaches here, which is a pretty cool connection for me. So I'm here to talk a little bit about my campaign and a little bit about the issues that we're fighting for and how you can make a serious impact on races, like a legitimate serious impact. So a little bit about my campaign. I was elected to Hudson City Council. Does anybody, by the way, live in Twinsburg, Macedonia, Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, any of those areas? Okay, all right, we got a few. Hudson, in Hudson, all right, awesome, that's great. So I got elected to City Council there last year and started realizing some of the issues that we were dealing with in Hudson really were decisions being made at the state level that were impacting local communities. And those fell into a couple of buckets. The first is education, which obviously matters to you. So there's two things that I'm talking about with education. One is investing in our schools, in our public universities, in our public schools, to provide kids, the next generation, the upcoming generation, with the absolute best foundation from which to succeed economically. And the way we do that is investing in skills and training and education. That starts with early childhood education, which puts everybody at a level playing field regardless of your economic background. That goes through public schools, and that goes all the way through our colleges and our universities, obviously, which you're experiencing now. So my wife, the economist, tells me for every dollar we spend of taxpayer dollars in education, we get 7 back into the economy from people ultimately becoming more empowered economically and able to get better jobs and paying taxes and less reliant on government programs. So that's a message that really resonates across the political spectrum for people. But most importantly, it gives every kid that opportunity to reach their maximum potential. So we're talking a lot about that. The second piece we're talking about is your generation, specifically your age group, and A, giving you the jobs that you need, and B, giving you the incentives and the reason to stay here in Northeast Ohio. So the way we do that is investing in our communities and in our cities. And what we've seen over the last 6 years, how long has Governor Kasich been in office essentially? The Republicans been in power, dramatic cuts to local government funding. So as a city councilor in Hudson, which is luckily a pretty well-to-do city, we're still struggling. We've taken a 10% hit in our budget. There's only so much consolidation and so many layoffs that you can do as a city before you are cutting public safety services, you're cutting infrastructure, you're cutting investment in downtown, you're cutting broadband, things that younger people want and need, A, to choose to live somewhere, and B, to have jobs for businesses that move to those places because they have the infrastructure and in place to grow. So you combine those two things, you have an educated workforce and you're investing in your cities, and it strengthens us as a region. So these issues, I think, both really impact you in this room. Really, your vote can have a major impact on the direction that the state goes, and then subsequently the direction that Northeast Ohio goes. So that's been really eye-opening in how intertwined investment in education in our local cities really matters. The other thing is, you can have a major impact. And this is where I ask you for your time, but I'm telling you it's actually an investment of your time. Jermaine, who is one of your fellow students here, we're sporting the shirt there, which is great. You all get a shirt if you go door to door for me. He's my volunteer coordinator, has done an awesome job for us. It's crunch time. We got how many days?
49.
Nice, Sarah's on top of it. 49 days until the election. I mean, this is the time when voters are tuned in, when they're listening, and let me tell you, a young face, a University of Akron student, will resonate with them. I mean, there's certain people that are going to knock on someone's door, and by the way, people are overwhelmingly nice and really appreciative that you're out there. they will listen to what you say. We have great materials, we have targeted lists, so you'll get mostly friendly faces when you knock on doors. And those conversations, I've also really learned this, and I'm telling you, just over the last few months, this is the absolute most impactful way you can influence elections. And at the local level, you have a chance, in my race, for example, to topple one of the most arch-conservative people in this state, Christina Rogner, who has been reflexively against education, who has been, at the forefront of cutting every government service, every government programs, money to schools, money to universities. She's like super extreme to where she doesn't want to make animal abuse like a serious crime. So this is like, she's far out to the extreme, even within her own party. She's been in for 3 terms, and I finally got to the point where I could not sleep well at night knowing she was my representative. So when the state came to me and said, we want you to run, we're going to provide you some resources, we think this is the right race, you could be the right candidate if you work hard, I jumped at the opportunity. So I'm a progressive candidate, and I'm unabashed about that. You know the 2 issues that I'm for, but other issues that our generation cares about that I think we need to lead the torch, carry the torch and lead on: climate change, renewable energy, women's health care, women's reproductive rights, these kinds of decisions that, ironically, conservatives who are all about small government want to get into our lives, very, very, very much so when it comes to those decisions. Voting rights, fair districting, these are the kinds of issues that I want to talk about and I want to do something about. What kind of put me on the map in Hudson was powering our community center with solar power. So they kind of laughed at me in the city when I said I wanted to raise $50,000 of private funding to do that, but we raised $72,000, and we ran out of roof space on our community center, so we have solar panels in the ground there as well. So those, I'm gonna bring that energy, and I'm gonna bring your voice to the State House. That's the most important thing. So you have a real opportunity to flip a seat right here, miles away, where your own students go, and send somebody who will be, this isn't the one and only time I'm going to be here. I'd like to visit with you and hear what matters to you and then represent that voice. As a young person too, I think it's important we have other young people in the State House. On City Council with me, it's me and a bunch of 70-year-old guys. And believe me, they don't really care about the same issues that I care about. Just try to bring up marijuana with these guys and just see what happens. It's like they think the entire place is going to burn down to the ground. So we're having that fight right now. But those are the kinds of things that we need representation on. So I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to be there. I'm going to do the work. But truly, really, this week, now, we need your help. So Jermaine is all too happy to get contact info of anybody who can come. Our campaign headquarters is up in Twinsburg. If it's inconvenient for you to get there, he can get you the routes that we need. Am I right? Yep. Okay, good. But we will have food, drinks up in Twinsburg as well. We can give you rides. We got all that help in place. We just need you to go meet people, and you get some steps in. You have your smartphone, so you're still connected to the world. It's actually quite peaceful, I'm telling you. It's very nice. I have a 2.5-year-old, so walking door to door is like my peaceful, quiet time. Believe it or not, it really is. So it's fun. Does anybody have any questions, or did I miss any issues here that I should be talking about? Yes, sir.
I'm curious, so what's your stance on unions?
I'm a pro-labor candidate. I'm pro-union. I think unions are important for 2 reasons. And my wife is a member of the union here, the Public Employee Union. They fight inequality. When you strengthen people's ability to negotiate, and we've seen this in our own house when the teachers here were bargaining last year, you fight inequality. You make society more equal. Hey, you're following me around. That is incredibly important. And that just because you have more money or more economic resources shouldn't give you a louder voice in our democracy. It's not an auction. And that starts with empowering people to be able to bargain collectively. The second piece of that is our middle class, which everybody talks about the middle class. Every politician wants to strengthen the middle class, but how do you actually do that? You provide higher wages in industries that can afford them, and that's accomplished through unions and through collective bargaining. So when you strengthen the middle class, you strengthen the backbone. Our economy is based on 70% consumer purchases. So, when you're empowering unions, you're putting money into the hands of people who put it right back into the economy and create jobs and grow our economy. So I'm very much pro-union. I've got the support of I think every union in the state at this point. Check out our website, kc4ohio.com, and you can see our endorsements, and they're coming in on a daily basis right now. But I'm proud to carry that flag. My opponent, anybody know what right to work legislation is? Familiar with that? Okay, so for those who don't, it basically allows people to opt out of being in a union while still getting representation from the union. So it's essentially it's a poison pill to destroy unions. My opponent just sponsored again right to work legislation in the House, and she's claiming to not get into divisive stuff anymore. And I called her out on it in our Akron Beacon Journal endorsement interview last week. So that's the kind of stuff. She's just reflexively against things that grow the middle class, things like that. So be a public vocal advocate for unions. Hope that was the right answer for you. All right, good. All right, we're good. It's a safe place in this room. It's good.
Can I ask you a question about something you mentioned with unions?
Sure.
So you said the pill that they use to poison it. However, isn't that good in some unions? For example, my father works a union job. If he were to help someone besides his job, he gets fired automatically because that's union rules. He's not allowed to, in his position, to help any of the mechanics that he oversees as they're working on something. So with the ability to step out of the union, he's able to actually work on more machines in the factory and help people out with the job when they need it, other than getting fired for it.
So two different issues I think we're talking about right now. I'm talking at a macro level, the ability to collectively bargain and wages and things
No,
like
I
that.
understand the.
So and I see where you're coming from. That's a union specific contract that they negotiated. That, you know, if there are restrictions like that sounds like something that should be worked on within that union. But at the state level, the policy isn't going to get down into the single union kind of contract level. Yeah, I know that they can be, sometimes they can be somewhat stringent. I know there's probably good reasons for those rules in certain circumstances, but I mean, I'm for common sense too. So if there's things that we can do to make unions more economically strong or more adaptive or more flexible while still giving them the employees and the members of them the powers to bargain collectively, then that's good compromise, I think. Yes, sir.
Since you mentioned the environment in your presentation, I wanted to ask you about a subset of that, which is hydraulic fracturing.
Mm-hmm.
So there seems to be two different positions on Democratic platforms in the past. It seems to me like there's pro-regulation,
Right.
where we just regulate hydraulic fracturing much more stringently, or we kind of put a cap on the practice until there's high-quality research out there to actually prove whether there is a positive or negative effect. So, which position would you be in favor of?
So here's the issue with hydraulic fracturing. The research is pretty solid that it doesn't poison water tables. It does cause earthquakes, which is a big issue. Right? So the other piece of that is when you stop fracking for natural gas, the reality is, unfortunately, the solar and wind resources aren't in place. So what happens? They turn on coal. That's exactly what happens over and over again when you reduce natural gas. So we're in this situation where we don't have the infrastructure in place, whether that's the actual production or the transmission lines or the intermittency issues solved for renewables that we need to get to because we froze our renewable energy standard in the state 5 years ago, to where it's the lesser of two evils right now, natural gas, unfortunately. It's half the emissions of coal, and it has a much lesser impact on overall the environment when you're doing mountaintop removal and strip mining to get the coal out. So I'm not going to BS you here and tell you, no, I'm completely against natural gas. I think right now, unfortunately, it has a place because it's better than coal for us, essentially. What I want to see done is really good regulation on it. In particular, watching the water table, which the research, my wife is actually, she does energy economics, that's what she does, so she is always on the research about this. If there are issues with the water table, obviously, immediately, those tend to be, if they happen on an extremely localized level, handle those right there. The bigger the bigger issue is methane that leaks from these wells, which contributes to global warming and climate change. So capturing that or reutilizing the methane that leaks is a really key part of that. But keeping natural gas, I'd be for it until we can invest in the renewables that we need to power the state in the long run. Long answer, sorry. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good questions. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very, very much. So Jermaine's got sign-in information, and we've got some handout materials that I think you all have. I hope I see you this weekend. It's actually a pretty fun, good time, and you can really have a good impact on the race. And then I'll keep coming back and hearing what you have to say. Thank you. All right.
Like I said, I'm Jermaine. I'm Casey's volunteer coordinator. I'm going to pass out these sign-in sheets. We really need you guys out there. We really need to push this, push Casey into office and get one of the Republicans, especially one of the Tea Party Republicans, out. So pass one here, one over there, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was awesome. Casey's awesome. We're gonna canvass for him on Sunday, right? Yeah, I'm going to. You guys should also. Shamus, you want to? He's gonna canvass with us. He'll speak in a second also. But next speaker is Bob Gippen, president of the Summit County Progressive Dems. He's gonna tell us about them. So
what's up with this Christmas caroling next door?
nothing to do about Christmas.
Hey everybody, I hope that Bernie made it possible for an old guy to speak to folks like you too. I'm an unabashed baby boomer. I had a chance to meet Sarah a few weeks ago, and actually she's a member of we call it SCPD, Summit County Progressive Democrats, and gave me the opportunity to come this evening, and hopefully come back some other times and talk, but a little bit more. But I wanted to tell you something about the organization, and frankly also get your involvement, and hopefully it's something that you would find something really, really worth doing. And we're not just campaign and it's over. We exist on a permanent basis. I should add that Shamus is now our recording secretary, so we're trying to get more and more diverse. Just briefly about myself, I lived in Akron since I was age 2, and have came back here. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law for a pretty long time. I was a judge for a while, and actually on the First County Council. But raised my kids all here, went to Firestone High School, and got my 2 grandkids going to Akron Public Schools. And I practiced law here in Akron. And I've been involved in politics since pretty much I was, your ages, back in college, and even the Politi Club at Brookville High School in the day. So I've been at it a while, and it changes, but it stays the same. And it's really terrific to see all of you, wanting to do this and keeping it going. Just to tell you about Progressive Democrats, I think it is a really extraordinary organization, and that's what Sherrod Brown said when he spoke at our 10th anniversary dinner, 2 years ago. It really is unique. It's existed since 2004. It was an outgrowth of some people that worked in the Kerry campaign and wanted to keep going. Frankly, a bunch of amateurs at that time. And since then, it's grown to an organization it's probably got nominally about 150 plus members, of whom probably 100 plus are active at one level or another. And you don't see that too commonly in that kind of organization anywhere. And we are what we say we are. We are progressive Democrats, again, without apology. And we function on several levels. We've got a huge campaign involvement, which I would invite you to join if you would like to involve yourselves that way. We have people that we prioritize locally. In fact, we decided to prioritize Casey here just in the last few weeks. And frankly, I was sort of opposed to it because I didn't think it was a winnable race, but he's really made the case to us that it is winnable, you know, with good data. It's looking very good for him, and so we decided to endorse and prioritize him and have just given him $5,000. So, you know, that's what we do. And we've got a fair amount of money. We're pretty good at raising it. I think we've got, what, about $30,000 in the bank? Is that what it was last, Shaughnessy? I forget.
I think it's around
30,000, and with that, I think we've already contributed, pushing something like 15 or 20,000 this year, and we'll probably contribute the rest of maybe another 5 before it's all said and done. So we really have got the resources to make an impact. We're thoughtful about how we spend the money, and so we prioritize it. As well, we have a very good, what we call feet on the street operation, where we can, if you're interested in working through us on things, you know, we can show you how to do it, get you involved with the kind of campaigns that you want to be involved with, and you'd have folks that may have some experience doing it with you. So that's something we do. We also provide campaign support training, both to candidates and people who want to work in campaigns. If you want to do that, we did a really neat sort of a day seminar. I know the snow was flying, January, February. We did that earlier in the year. We've put together a local campaign manual, you know, for running a progressive campaign in Summit County, Ohio, which we think is a really great document for everybody to use. And on the other side, we've got a very strong issues component. You know, we don't just get people elected. We follow up with them. We have the questionnaire from hell that we make them go through. But we've also got a very active issues committee, which works on a whole variety of things that are progressive issues. And we were able to mobilize people when there's something coming to a vote. We'll send out we call it an issue alert, you know, with good links to, you know, contact the legislators and so on to, you know, let your views be known. We develop position statements on issues, you know, to work from and try to publicize them. And I know there's been some, Dominic Grossi has been active with us and is getting back again, and I know he began to get something going with university-related issues. And I hope he's going to, you know, continue that, and we would certainly welcome all of your involvement to really get profile raised in that. And maybe kind of thing I love to talk about it. We participated very actively in the Republican convention in Cleveland in July. We planned this for pretty much a year, and we did participate in one march that took place. But what was probably most fun was that we went up mostly in public square the first 3 days of the convention, and basically we were looking for the media, and the media was looking for people like us, and we did like, you know, 80 interviews with local and even international media over those 3 days. I did 3 in French. My French is that good. You know, it was live in English on one of the German networks. Then they actually, you know, they had questions on text. It was a really neat experience. You know, so all of which is to kind of circle back to what I was saying. We are really about action. We are really doing it, whether it's the convention or it's on the street campaigning or contributing money or it's the issues work. I think you'd find that we are something unlike anything you may have seen. And most people that are exposed to it kind of go, wow, you know, whether they're candidates or local people. And we would love to have your involvement. We'd just love to have your involvement. And hopefully it's entirely consistent with your good work with this organization. And you know, this is wonderful. I mean, to see as many of you here, because it's good, got to have a strong UA presence. But again, that's not inconsistent, and if you've got the inclination to do it, whether it's campaigning through us, you know, for this remaining month and a half, or building infrastructure or working on issues, I think you'd really enjoy it, and we would love to have you working with us. And you know, Sarah knows how, you know, to plug you into it. Obviously, Shamus does too now. And if you have any questions of me or what we're doing or how to get involved, I would love to answer them. Yes, Sean?
We should probably say the meetings are the second Tuesday of every month at the main library downtown, so walking distance pretty close. Great speakers. Kathleen Clyde is a state representative who did a lot of election law stuff, came in and taught last week and was phenomenal, discussing some election law stuff that made national news. So it's a really cool time.
Yeah, they're good meetings, and the meeting before that, we had a transvestite activist, who talked about all of that, and they really are very lively, very interesting meetings, and thank you for mentioning that. We'd love to have you there. This time, we're really going to kind of have it be a cheerleader meeting. We're going to have various candidates and campaign people, talking and trying to raise some energy, but most of the meetings, we meet every month except November. We'll have a party the Tuesday after the election to celebrate, I hope. But otherwise, we have issues. The speakers are on issues, and almost universally very interesting. So, thank you so much for giving me a few minutes, and I may hopefully try to get back from time to time and talk to you about things in more depth. So, thanks so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Bob completely forgot to mention that they have food at their meetings.
Oh yeah.
Brownies and pizza. But okay, Shamas, you want to come up?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a stack of speakers for you guys today.
So I will try to be quick. I know you guys have heard from a lot of great folks, and I can't possibly match their expertise. My name's Shamas Malik. I am from Akron. I just finished law school and moved back here and spent the summer in Pierce taking the bar, studying for the bar exams. So
Harvard Law School.
yeah, but I feel at home here because my mom taught here for 22 years.
Well, I see you go to.
I went to Firestone.
Oh, I went to Mars.
Okay. But but I'm here because I'm working with the Ohio Democratic Party, with Ohio Together, the grassroots movement to elect Hillary Clinton. Some of you may have heard my spiel last week from Sarah, the organizer, but I'm working on voter protection. We're recruiting folks to be poll observers on Election Day, and this is because, as Kathleen Clyde spoke about at the SCPD meeting last week, Ohio has had a lot of issues with voting rights. Ohio has had a lot of issues, particularly in 2004, where we had long lines at campuses all across Ohio, and then continuing on in 2008 and 2012. There have been a lot of issues with making sure that everyone had the opportunity to vote. And in this election year, when the polls are so close, when we have the specter of Donald Trump hanging over all of us, it's going to be so important that we make sure every single person has the opportunity to vote. And so what we're going to be doing as poll observers on Election Day is folks are going to be stationed in particular precincts across Akron, and they are going to be there all day just sort of observing, as the word says, and as issues come up, like long lines, or like someone doing something they shouldn't be, or the possibility of someone trying to intimidate voters, we're going to have they can call back to a group of attorneys we're going to have, including Bob. Everything is interconnected. And we'll troubleshoot those issues. But it's going to be so important on Election Day. It's one of the things that is so critical, both to ensuring that as many folks can come out to vote, but also it's just so fundamental to the democracy, right? I mean, I hope that if Democrats were on the other side, we would, and helping turnout and a greater turnout didn't help us, we would still not do some of the things that some of the Republicans do to block people to vote. But thankfully, we are going to do everything we can on Election Day. And if you guys would be interested in helping out, I think I may have called some of you who signed up last week, but I'm going to have a sign-up sheet in the back. Would really love your help, even if it's just coming in and volunteering a little bit. If you can't take Election Day off, if you have class that you can't skip. A professor here told me I can't encourage my kids to skip class, and I have the specter of my mom over me. I was like, oh God, but I'm not telling you to skip class. But if you could help, it's going to be really important. It's going to be a really interesting way to sort of observe an election in real time, right? I mean, Ohio elections are the focus of the center of the world on that day. And so it's a really cool opportunity. And then just a final pitch that's not about poll observing, but it's just about all the things you've been hearing. we've got some really great folks in Summit County. We got a lot of really cool things you can get involved in. You can get involved in local races with people like Casey, who are going to go to the State House and push back against some of the regressive policies that people like John Kasich are pushing. You got people like Bob who have these incredible organizations where you can meet people who are 20 or people who are 80 who've been working on this stuff their whole lives, and you can just talk about labor issues or you can talk about fracking. And you also have the campaigns here, like the presidential campaign. So all the way down, I would just say, make the most of the opportunities you have while you're here. And thank you guys very much. I'll be in the back.
Can you guys eat some chips, please? Because I had to take it home last time, and I don't want to take it home again. But, so Casey Weinstein, like, no one gets me as excited as him at, like, PG Sittenfeld did, and I just think he's so cool, and, like, one of the reasons I supported Bernie Sanders was because of his, like, full stop ban on fracking, but Casey's right, like, we can't move to renewable energy unless Democrats are in office, because, Al Gore, he's just trying to make money, the liberal media is lying to you guys. I mentioned the fall conference. Okay, so now we'll just, like, go into discussion. Okay. So, from this week. Hi, Sarah. Hello. And hey, you guys, there's extra seats. You guys don't have to sit on the floor.
Yeah, I don't think.
There's like seats.
My bag doesn't need to take a seat.
Sarah, there's a seat up here also.
I need a lot of room for myself.
Oh, okay. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Okay, so first thing we can talk about what happened in Chris, you want to come up here with me? You always leave really good. Come up here. Because you're really good at talking.
About what?
Like fun stuff. Politics. Come up here. Okay. So first thing that happened, the thing that happened in New York with Ahmed Khan Rahami. The thing that I want to talk about that was at 8 a.m. New York City sent out a text message to people that said wanted Ahmed Khan Rahami, and then it said how old he was and call 911, blah blah blah. So I just want to know how you guys feel about the message system. Okay, like crowdsourcing, like a manhunt crowdsourcing, using it's technologically driven now. Do you guys think there was adverse effects to it, such as like when they did that, like they were like you're inciting like fear and panic and you're profiling, like they look at every like brown person that day and it's like, is that Ahmed Khan Rahami? Like you scare people. Like I remember what was it? My professor, she was talking about it. We're in the same class. Me and Abby. She was talking about how like on the thing she got like an Amber Alert and she was like, what? Like, and it said black Ford Ranger or something. And she was like, she woke up to that. And, like that's like scary. Something scary to wake up to. So like, how do you guys feel about like the city of New York sending out a text like that?
Or like profiling someone?
Yeah.
Someone blew up some shit, you gotta...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick.
The thing
You
that-
guys don't have to raise your hand. It's open discussion, by the way.
The thing that surprised me the most was that when you look at the reaction of most New Yorkers during that time, they actually were a lot more annoyed that the bombing occurred and that they sent out an Amber Alert instead of actually having a fear-based reaction. And
I
so
know.
it's
I noticed
just-
that also.
And so it's just like, I actually remember watching The Daily Show with Trevor Noah just a few minutes before the meeting, and there were some tweets that came out that pretty much said that why is the city continuing to annoy me with all of these Amber Alerts? And so it's just like, in a sense, I think that's actually good because we've become resilient to terrorism to the point where we don't just continue to incite a mass panic, which that would actually be very, very detrimental to the social stability of the actual city. But on the other hand, it also kind of shows that we're not necessarily in tune to a lot of the dangers that could potentially plague us.
The one thing I feel bad about is that like they always blame Syrian refugees. It's like the dude's Afghan. Why can't we blame Afghan refugees? Like, I mean, not that we should blame Afghan refugees, but I'm just saying, like they always pick on Syrian refugees. Anybody else have any?
Sarah, can I just add something? I happen to have been in New York this past weekend.
Oh, were you?
My oldest daughter lives there, and I was visiting her. And, in fact, one of her pretty good friends lives on 23rd Street, right across the street from the bomb. She wasn't at home, and was able to get in her apartment. But yeah, I was there. We went to a play, and we it let out about 9:45, so stuff was happening. But I kind of what you were saying, the reaction, there was she was a lot of texting with her friends and things like that. But the mood, there was a heightened mood, and also because there's all the UN thing going on, and a lot of the subway lines were closed, so they weren't exactly normal. But people weren't in the slightest bit panicked. It was just, this is just the way the world is. It was an interesting thing to be through, but reinforcing what you were saying, but I didn't get any sense of annoyance. It was more, this is what happens, and we've got to deal with it.
Well, I was just going to add that, like stuff like this, you shouldn't let people like that, influence you and make you like scared to go outside because, I don't know. It's like I feel like that's sort of what they want, is like to make people fearful to go outside, have fun, stuff like that. So it's like by living in fear, it's almost like you're letting them win, sort of. I would say. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't be cautious because it's crazy people out here, but I'm not going to live my life being in fear of something like that or whatever.
I think it's like always weird that like after Paris, I feel like we reacted like we were more angry about Paris than we are like about when something like happens in like New York. We're like, dude, seriously, like you're my subway. I gotta get to work. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just like weird the way things work. But
Did the text alert work? Is it effective? Like,
it wakes people up. Like I saw on Twitter this guy who's
was it
from New York.
helpful in, because they captured him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like was it due to the text alert or was it not even worth it?
I don't know. I heard that they found him like asleep in a bar in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Or was it in the like the step, the doorway?
Yeah, doorstep of a bar.
One of the ways that contributed to finding him was that there were 2 thieves that the police encountered, and the thieves had originally found the box that had the original bomb in it, and so they led the police to actually finding this guy's phone, which led them to actually find the guy in that remote location that he was found.
Yeah, so anybody else have any thoughts? No. Hey, does anybody know what happened with, before I get to Edward Snowden, does anybody know what happened with, in Arizona, I think it was, another officer shot someone who actually had their hands up this time? Yeah.
Take that with a little grain of salt because I don't know what was going on there, but yes, essentially there's a video, there's a overhead helicopter flying around watching this all take place. There is an unarmed black man who's has his hands up, but the thing that is really confusing to me and where you don't see exactly what happens is the helicopter goes to the other side of the car during one of the circles, but he walked up to his driver's side door of his own car again, so I know, like, yes, this is bad that another man got shot, but don't take it how it sounds just yet. Yes, it looked like he had his hands up, but he was walking back to his driver's side door for some reason and appeared to be fidgeting around, so anything could have happened. And
Is this the one where his car was broken down and the police stopped?
You can just go ahead and talk.
His car
Is that
his car was broken down, and when they
had their guns trained on him, he in fact did have his hands up. There were
Yeah.
two videos that did support
And
that.
And
Yeah.
didn't he bleed out? I heard he bled
Yeah.
out, like they just
Yeah,
let him
he did not
bleed.
have a
There
gun.
released an official statement saying that not only was he unarmed, but there was no weapon in the vehicle. That police chief had already requested an investigation by the
Yeah.
Department of Justice.
Well, and the thing is that his car was broken down the side of the road. Like, why did they have
So why did
why did they have to shoot him? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It literally, he was on the side of the road because his car was broken down, and they pulled over to check it out and see what was going on. And
Yeah, it was a
Immediately
complete
came at him.
overreaction by the police, completely. It's just like, give it time to play out, because some of these other ones have turned out to just be, like, we take it at face value when you first hear it. Let some more information come out before,
I mean,
like, making
the
decisions
video
on it.
went viral on Twitter like yesterday.
Yeah, Sean King always posts
And,
stuff, and I
yeah,
always see his.
and I watched it, and I mean, from what I saw,
It doesn't look good at all.
it was not.
It's just
okay.
crazy to me that they can get away with like killing, like literally like killing black people. Like I don't get how they can like do that. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm not being like politically correct right now, but it's just weird.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that like anytime there's like a police officer shooting of a citizen, that it shouldn't be like the own police department's like I don't know what is that, internal investigations unit. It should be like a federal investigation of that police shooting of a U.S. citizen anytime or whatever. So then like you sort of have like I don't know. I feel like if a police department tries to regulate itself, then there's obviously going to be bias. But if you have it done at like a federal or state level, then maybe there might be more fairness in the process.
They do it at a federal level.
Oh, they
There's
do?
2 investigations that take place. The Department of Justice and special investigators, whenever there's a shooting that has, it looks odd. And so they do their investigation while Internal Affairs does their investigation. Then the DA gets final say on what, the department gets final say on what the recommendation is to that actual police precinct. And then if they decide that there's evidence, like, so the Freddie Gray case, they had to go to a grand jury before they indicted all those cops, which means that the department actually felt that there was enough evidence to possibly indict. So then they show it to a grand jury. The grand jury decides to go with it and they have the cases. So not only do you have the internal affairs, you have the federal investigation, as well as the people and the jury who decide if they feel that there's enough evidence.
I wanna see like statistics on like how often the police officers actually get indicted, because I remember like the big one a few years ago that like I see like we were all like I don't know if you, I guess just my family, we care a lot about politics. We were all watching was Michael Brown, and then like whoever it is that came on TV was like, the police officer isn't getting indicted. We were all like what? Like I just want to see how often the police officers actually get indicted for that stuff, but
Sure, it's very unusual, and it's even less, I don't know, I can't think of a time when an officer was convicted.
is there a reason for that? Why they
Yes.
don't?
Yes.
Oh, what is it?
It's the people are so dependent on the police for as they perceive it, the order of the community. White people more than black people, unfortunately, but it really, particularly in Baltimore, they didn't even have a jury. I mean, these were tried to judges, and none of those
There
judges.
were grand juries. There
No,
were
the
juries
grand
and some
jury.
of the cases.
Grand jury indicted
The
them.
grand jury,
There were
I
juries
thought they were
on
all
some
tried
of
to,
They asked
I
for
know
the
one of
right
the
to,
juries.
okay.
yeah, they asked for the right for the judge to look at it.
But it's very, very hard to get a jury to convict an officer, because all you need is one person who doesn't want to vote to convict. And everybody just feels so dependent on the police that it's sympathetic to.
But it's not like we're saying that like we shouldn't be dependent on them. We're just saying that they should get in trouble for that thing that they did, like when they.
You asked the question, that's the answer.
I know, but I'm just like wondering like why.
Yeah, you said that indictments are rare too as well, like just the initial
There are
indictments are rare.
there are more indictments now, I mean, the surveillance, the video cams and all that, it's harder for the police to be able to say, oh, they went for a gun. But to finding juries or even judges that are going to convict officers, it's just call it politics if you like, but that's just a sentiment. It just almost never happens.
What about what happened with Rodney King? Did those?
Yeah, no police.
They all got off.
Oh, they did?
Yes, that's why the LA riots took place.
Oh.
Yeah, they basically got off, most of them got fired, and he got a huge settlement from the city, but the fact that none of them ended up in jail is why there was massive riots.
Oh. How big was his settlement?
I think he got like 34 million or something like that. I think he got a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
There's a
whole
police saying
situation
better 12 jurors than 6 pallbearers, which is to say, you're better take, if you're in doubt, shoot, you've got a better chance with a jury than you're gonna have it.
The police union is like one of the 3 unions that actually endorsed Donald Trump, right?
The
Am
one
I
in
right on that?
New England states endorsed Donald Trump.
Who did?
The one in the, it's like the New England Police Union endorsed
Oh,
him.
I thought like a
No,
bigger
it's
level.
not like, I don't think it's their national
Oh
thing, but I
no.
know like a regional one endorsed it. Yeah, unfortunately.
Did anyone see Donald Trump's Skittle tweet?
His son. It was his
Yeah,
son.
Oh, I mean his son, Donald
Yeah.
Trump Jr. That's why I got confused the J.
Yeah, that's something
It's
that's
a
been
thing.
around for like 5 years now.
Oh, has it? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that's been around Facebook.
So do you think it's like okay for him to retweet it then?
No.
Well, Skittles,
Well, it's his right as an American to tweet whatever he wants, so I personally don't care, but I'm saying that not only has that meme been used for other issues besides just that one, that meme has been going around since ISIS formed. That was actually started by, there was a group, like right when, or ISIS formed, that was a Republican group, and they actually started that.
It's like generalizing a whole group of people about
Which
the
they
Skittles,
always do.
Skittles, they replied in saying that Skittles is candy, Syrian refugees are people. It's very inappropriate.
And we don't have anything else to say
Yeah.
other than that, yeah. Skittles came out, and then Mars retweeted it. He's people. Okay, so Edward Snowden. Let's go to him because Snowden just came out, and I want to go see the movie really badly.
It's good.
Who said that? Oh, it is. I want to see it so badly.
You know, it's really good.
Is it? I actually really like Glenn Greenwald. I like The Intercept, so. Glenn Greenwald, there was a little bit about him in there, right? Yeah? No, you don't remember? Okay, so he is currently a political refugee in Moscow. There are organizations that have come out in support of him, the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and then Oliver Stone has just made that movie called Snowden. He's a whistleblower, if you guys didn't know that, and, what?
It's just joking.
So he's essentially guilty of leaking government, he was working for the NSA.
Yeah, he basically like told everyone like the illegal shit they were doing. So he's basically telling on like a criminal activity, and he got in trouble for that, which is crazy. But
And people want President Obama to pardon him, but President Obama's obviously not going to do that. But unfortunately, yeah, him and Chelsea Manning should be pardoned. Any thoughts on that? This is some cool stuff, guys. No?
I mean, if someone's doing something fucked up, I mean, hey, look, the person next door to me is, I don't know, dumping their sewage into the creek behind the house or something. You know, it's like.
What information did he disclose?
It's just like what they were doing. Like he just like leaked a whole bunch of. I think he like got in trouble because he leaked like classified documents. But
He leaked how they were spying on everyone.
Oh, that's
He
what it
basically
was?
showed how we had hacked into a bunch of. Think of information traveling between the Atlantic and America and Europe as a tree trunk. You have these fiber cables. Well, they figured out a way that we can hack into the tree trunk without anyone realizing it, and we can spy on absolutely everyone. We can spy on Germany, France, England, anyone we want to spy on. All we got to do is go into these cables. And he was a contractor. He didn't actually even work for them. He was just a contractor. And he was supposed to be, I think, backing up some files, and he came across one of the files that showed how they could hack into those and use them, as well as showing that Apple, Yahoo, and a bunch of other internet services were all helping them do it. And so then he backed it up all on the card and released it.
Not only that, they also revealed the fact that there's a database that is being used, so that way you can look up text messages from people. You can look up messages, emails, and like that. So,
Yes, Cassandra? You guys don't have to raise your hand, by the way.
Sorry. I guess I'm conflicted about how I feel about Edward Snowden, like hero or like enemy bad guy. Not really sure, but I think that some of the reason why I'm hesitant to label him either is because like just his motive for doing it. Like I don't think it was genuinely to like help out as people. Like it seems like he wanted to just be famous, to be a like. To have to go and be like this huge story in his face. I don't know, that's what, I feel like my feeling towards Edward Snowden relate more to his motive than what he actually did. I think it's important to know that Edward Snowden escalated this situation for over a year. Like, he tried to report to people that this was happening and this was illegal over and over and over again. And basically was told that like he needed to just do his job and ignore it, number one. So it's not like he just went straight to leaking this information. Number two, I think if Edward Snowden was concerned about being famous, he would have done a lot more PR things. Even in the documentary about Edward Snowden, he constantly was telling them that he didn't want to do interviews, he didn't want to be in the video because he didn't want America to make it about him and what his personality was, because it wasn't about him and his personality. It was about the fact that he was working as a contractor and felt like basically like he was in an existential crisis because these things were happening and looked at it was important to him and he was basically playing a part of being a contractor and he had told everyone he could possibly tell within the government and no one listened to him and so the only option he had was to release this information. And not only did he release it, he had a reporter who helped him like comb through it so that nothing that he released would be something that would put the United States in danger. So it's not like he just went like really letting go of all that secret. He released it to the public pressure on this organization that was breaking the law and being super un-American and just being able to listen in on everything.
Let me ask a question.
Yes.
With accepting that President Obama wouldn't pardon or won't pardon, certainly before the election, do you think that the president should pardon him before the election?
No. Because I don't want Donald Trump to pardon people. If, God forbid, Donald Trump were ever to win. See, that's the thing. That's, what was the other thing? What were we just talking about? Oh yeah, the Department of Justice going into like cities and or into like doing the federal investigations of these the police shootings. I was reading that that's like an overreach of power. Like we wouldn't want we wouldn't want Donald Trump to do something like that. Like what, you don't think so?
No, hell no. Police do some. If a police officer did some fucked up shit, then yeah, it's like.
Yeah, but do you think Donald Trump would actually ever? Like he wouldn't care about that. It's like I'm talking about like he would use it.
He's not going to be president, so it's like just.
I mean, you never know.
He did not volunteer to help win this election.
Yeah. Not unless you help Sarah.
Yeah, register all the voters for now.
It's really a great line to use.
What?
Go all over the city. If there might not be classes on the day after election day.
Here's the other important thing that we have to cover with regards to Snowden. The other part of this issue is not only focusing so much on the national implications of what Edward Snowden did, but also the international implications. And the reason is because within the documents that Edward Snowden disclosed, there was one document that showed that the United States was spying on international companies, including the state oil company Petrobras, which is based in Brazil. And one of the other things that we have to keep in mind is that when the United States was caught spying on our allies, it is definitely going to decrease the amount of social trust that all the other countries around the world have in United States institutions. And the internet is especially vulnerable to it because the fact that United States companies were complicit in this means that a lot of different foreign companies were trying to end a lot of their business deals with US internet companies because of the revelations that Snowden revealed. And so it's a very important issue, because if the internet continues to become much more marginalized because of the fact that the United States is using its power in that regard, then the internet will no longer be open. It will be confined into a lot of different circles within all these different multinational.
Isn't it like a common thing that countries spy on each other? There's just like a
Yeah.
level of how far you can go in that spying.
Like France and the UK were spying on us and we're spying on them.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
spy on
like-
Germany all the time, don't we?
Israel spies on us more than anyone else.
And then like, I mean, to me at the end of the day, if the NSA or whatever it is spying on me and collecting data, it's just like, I'm not gonna, it's just, I mean, I assume all my phones are tapped. It's just, I don't know.
That's why sometimes it confuses me why people are so like aggressively against it, because it's like, I mean, like, I'm not really hiding.
Everyone knowing all your information, no privacy. Why would anyone be against that?
No. I don't want people to like, in your business, but I'm just saying like they're not gonna leak any of my information, are they?
But, okay, here's the thing, hold on, here's the thing. In Sweden, they created this
Me,
counter-terrorism.
someone's so obscure and unimportant, why would they care about what's on my
But
phone?
here's the thing, using that information, they created this computer in Sweden that they let the CIA use. And this is how scary this thing is. So it can tell you what your cell phone numbers are, what your internet usage is, how much water you use every month, all this stuff. And then it can tell, well, all of a sudden she's using more water. Let's look at her friends list. Who is not where they're supposed to be? Okay, now we can probably assume that this person is living in this person's house. We can tell by the food consumption she's buying in groceries and the amount of water she's using and all this stuff. They can tell everything you're going to do, and then the computer can guess what you're going to do next. So not only can they now track you, but they can actually guess what you're going to do. And then you have examples like in Detroit. Someone hit a light post. When they hit the light post, they noticed it looked weird, so they took the top of it to someone to see what was going on. It turns out that they were testing this theory that if you walked under a light post, we can piggyback onto your cell phone and find out everything you have on it.
No, you totally win me over. You're totally right about that.
Yeah,
You are.
as well as now, NFL stadiums are doing this. If you buy a ticket from the NFL to go to a football game, to any of the new stadiums that they're building, you are agreeing to allow them to do this. And all the stands, there are sensors, and those sensors piggyback on everything, as well as do full body scans to see if you have anything on you. They claim they're doing it in public safety, but they take biometrics, they take everything from your cell phone, anything on your computer, and they get it just because you bought a ticket.
No, you're right about that, because I was listening to the radio on my way to school. And I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about how like your credit card company can see what food you buy, and then like they give that information, because like, oh, they were saying it takes 45 minutes to read the fine print, like when you sign on for like a credit card, and so nobody actually reads it. Everybody just clicks agree, blah blah blah, and like something in the fine print was that they take that information like from your grocery store, and they document like what you're eating, so then they give that to healthcare providers, and like that's how they determine like your insurance rates and like that type of stuff. And I was like, okay, that's like too far. That's not cool. So no, I totally agree with you.
I mean, I understand, bro. It's like, it's just, I mean, it's like, I sort of assume that the government is spying on me and, tapping my phones, and
Why should they?
it's just like,
And why should you allow them to?
it's
I
just
mean,
like,
really,
what am I
what's
gonna
the
do?
allowing
I'm just a brother from Akron, Ohio.
You can speak out. You don't have to.
I mean,
No, not seeing this one.
I mean,
Because he goes through exactly like in a way that people can understand exactly what the NSA is doing. It's pretty horrifying.
See, here's the thing.
Wait, what is? Wait, what?
John Oliver's interview with Snowden, he went to Russia and interviewed him.
Oh, really?
That's a very great interview.
It's a good interview.
Oh, okay. I'll have to see that. I haven't seen that.
I mean, I would really argue that as much as the government spies on us, we give away most of the information ourselves anyway, honestly. You're texting any type of social media, any type of internet source.
Doesn't matter.
I mean,
I like fantasy.
I mean, we're mad at the government. I mean, well, some people are mad at the government, but at the same time, you're giving the information away for free to private companies on a daily basis with our everyday
But we're
usage.
consenting.
Yeah, that's like being.
Actually, I mean, is it considered if you're not reading it?
Well, if you're not, okay, if I know leaking space, for example, if I put up a picture, even if I delete my account, it's a contract. And so I agreed to let them use my photos for the next 5 years if they want to use it. Now, I know that putting my photo up on Facebook might somehow end up on a Viagra. And hopefully no one I would never see that, but that's a possibility. So, I knowingly have done this, that's different.
It's not like
The
they're
government
actively
going
watching.
and collecting all this, buying it all up, completely against my knowing, and using it for whatever purpose they want, including tracking me and what I'm doing. I never gave consent for that. I gave consent for Facebook. I did not give consent for the government.
Not only that, though.
Why do you want Facebook to have all your personal information?
I don't. But let's be honest, you have to use social media to an extent in this world. You know, we've gotten to the point where, like, even in politics, half of outreach nowadays is social media. One of the reasons Obama did so well was his social media game in the last election. So you have to get on social media. You know, I don't use Twitter, I don't use Instagram, and what's the other one that everyone likes? Snapchat. I refuse to use any of those. I have a Facebook account which has as little information as possible, and I try to use it as little as I can as well. But I have to have Facebook.
Also, in the city of Chicago, they use like cameras or whatever. Like there's a lot of, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a lot of violence in Chicago, unfortunately. And you know, they've actually solved murders. Like there was this one rapper who literally shot this dude who shot one of his Lil Sean. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Yeah. And he shot this dude who in front of his wife and kids or whatever, who shot one of his buddies and killed him. And like, you know, they were able to track that down because they saw him right away on his bicycle. And you know, but it's just.
Well, see, like, okay, South Korea, you won't ever see police in South Korea. When you do see them, it's usually when they're having one of their protests, because they love to protest in South Korea. Or you come across like one cop car for every, I think about like 5 city miles in South Korea. And the reason is the entire country is CCTV. They have cameras everywhere that can see things. Except they have rules to them. You know, they have laws that govern the usage of that footage, how the police are allowed to access that footage, how that footage is allowed to be used in court. If you have that, cool. You know, that's part of social contract that we live under. But when you secretly use that stuff against us without telling us, and then we get put in Guantanamo Bay or another black site because you've gone around the law to, you know, sure you got a guy who's bad, but you went around the law to do it. I mean, that.
Not only that, but there have been instances of NSA individuals abusing their power, whether or not it's spying on their children or spouses. For example, there's a contractor who actually used that power to go through his wife's phone without her knowing through those government infrastructure. Not only that, but wouldn't you be worried about potentially say someone runs a campaign, you have somebody that's in the NSA doesn't like you, so they go through your phone, they send like revealing pictures of you on the internet or something like that. They go and they use that information against you, even though they can get in trouble for it. They could still potentially do that. There's always that potential for abuse, especially because you don't even know what's going on. If someone had leaked into this, we had no idea that this was going on to the extent it was.
The thing that I don't like about CCTV though is like sometimes I do like weird things, like I'll have to like fix like myself, and I don't want like people to like watch me doing that. Like I feel like that's like weird. Or like I hate going like if there's lipstick on my teeth, I have to go like this, like. And I don't like the way I look when I do that. So
Do you think that,
clearly, I have really important priorities.
are you
here.
saying that you think that the level of surveillance, if you like, national and international, is more than we legitimately need to prevent terrorism from happening?
I think so. Like, people die more a year from like dog bites than they do from like terrorism in America.
Well,
like,
I mean, you could make the case that that the fact that we have not had a major international terrorist incident since 9/11 in this country is due to the increased surveillance. And would you be willing to essentially you'd be willing to trade off having incidents for the sake of more privacy?
well, prior to 9/11, how many terrorist attacks were there?
A few,
There was like
including at the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
But would you be willing to make that trade-off? In other words, as you say, I mean, 50,000 people die in auto accidents. I mean, would you be willing to basically accept that there are going to be some people die from international terrorist incidents for the sake of not having all the surveillance?
See, my thing is like the police, they need to get a warrant to just be searching through your shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't just have we don't like Chris, so we're going to bug his phones or whatever. I mean, who knows if they do it already, but it's like they should get a warrant to do that. They should have a warrant to, probable cause to go through my shit, it's like, but, I mean, I sort of assume they probably do that already, because.
Here's my stance though for what your question is. Benjamin Franklin once said, if you give away any right for safety, you deserve neither. So yes, I'd rather have privacy than safety. Yes, that might be where people die, but I believe that rights, or the people who are in charge of the rights are corruptible, and therefore I don't want to give them anything that they can use. I think our founding fathers, we can argue, were pretty insightful towards what problems we have nowadays.
Although don't forget the Alien and Sedition Act, I'm sure you all know about that.
Well, there's
Remember that one?
Yeah.
1896, I mean, our new revolutionary government, imposed laws that are arguably the most restrictive and intolerant laws that we've ever seen.
When was it, 1896?
1796.
Oh, 1796.
Well, a lot of democracies,
Welcome, Dominic.
Frank Underwood.
a lot of democracies that are just
Oh,
starting,
that's so funny.
that are just starting
I have
in
one
their
also.
infancy are illiberal
They give it to us
democracies
for
in the
free
short
at the
term.
GNC.
Because it takes a long time to develop institutions such as respect for the rule of law and, free and fair elections. And it's a universal standard that, we just kind of expect nations to adhere to, immediately when we stop contributing to nation building.
I mean, even after our founding fathers, we still had issues like John Adams, one of the worst founding fathers in my opinion. He basically believed the Constitution was like a guideline, which is why Thomas Jefferson ran against them and they ended up hating each other because Thomas Jefferson was like, no, this is the law. And Adams was like, no, if you're not a white male who's been to higher learning, you don't get to vote. So, I mean, yeah, we've had our issues, but I think in the long run.
Cassandra, do you agree that John Adams was one of the worst?
Yeah, he was pretty bad, but I don't know how
Is he
to
related to
Thomas
Samuel?
Jefferson. I'm kind of a Hamilton fan, so.
Well, all right, one guy argued for, yes, let's accept the fact that they had slaves. That was the economy at the time. I'm not arguing for slavery, I'm saying, yes, I know they had slaves. But if you look at it from a political standpoint, Adams basically believed the only way you could vote was if you were white and you went to basically Harvard, which is how you get the electoral college. That was the agreement with the 5/3 vote. If you give us this, we give you that. And so because of his, basically, there's a higher class than, because there's this one higher class above everyone else, you get the electoral college. That was his idea. The fact that we really don't get a say in the voting. It can go any other way. And he even wrote it so that the regulations for the electoral college were very flimsy. I mean, Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, was very stringent and everyone gets a say as best as we can set it up that way.
Yeah, I think you should get rid of the electoral college.
But I don't think that will happen anytime soon, unless Texas turns blue, which I heard like they're already like leaning that way, just the way the lines are drawn, that we don't get any.
Well, I mean, the Republican Party pretty much doesn't like Mexicans at all, so.
Yeah, so I don't think electoral college will ever go away, or a two-party system. I don't agree with them obviously, but I think those are like far-fetched things. I want to talk about North Dakota Access Pipeline, but we're running out of time. So instead, I just want to know if you guys think President Obama should pull out Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, his Supreme Court Justice appointee, because it would be a gamble. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully Hillary Clinton wins this thing. But it's still scary. Like that.
He's not
like
going to win
up
Pennsylvania, so it's.
Yeah, but he's up in Florida and Ohio, so that's worrying. But anyways, for him to pull out his appointee or to keep it in, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys want Hillary Clinton to choose someone who's more liberal? Yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying if she's elected?
Yeah, if she's elected.
Well, I mean, obviously, if she's elected, he has to renounce her. But I don't think you do it until after she's elected.
But during the lame duck, didn't they say that he was gonna push, or they were gonna push for that and TPP?
I mean,
Isn't TPP already signed and ready to go or something?
They still need to make a final approve of it, yeah. It can only happen during like a lame duck session.
Yeah, and he's pushing for that, for the TPP and the lame duck session with, like John Kasich, I heard is, someone calling me? Just turn it off. Yeah, so what are your guys' thoughts on that? Any thoughts, Beard? You don't have a thought on this?
TPP?
Sure.
Well, are we talking Merrick Garland? Yeah.
I was talking about Merrick Garland, but you can talk
Okay,
about
I think that, nothing's gonna happen with them, so Hillary's gonna put in whoever she wants if she wins. Donald Trump will put in whoever he wants if he wins. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. Oh, see, Obama missed, I'm not a big fan of his, but I will say he missed a good opportunity. See, what he should have done was he put out a good media guy. And everybody's like, okay, let's vote on it, and then they didn't, and all the people were mad that they didn't vote. What he should have then done was found another guy and said, okay, what about this? And then after Republicans still wouldn't vote, you do it again, and you do it again, all the way up into the election. Because that makes the Republicans look bad the whole time up to the election. Here the Democrats are trying to find a middle ground candidate that would work for both sides, and you guys still won't vote even after the third or fifth name. He really missed out for not doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I want him to push harder, or to go for someone who's on the left, but whatever. Okay, so Nick, he wanted to talk about the NEA.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, my name's Nicholas Galina, and I'm the vice president of the chapter. And in addition to being the vice president of the chapter, Dominic and I are also campus organizers for the Aspiring Educators Program, and that's the youth branch of the National Education Association. Essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to get education majors politically engaged and give them the political tools to succeed in their professions. So right now we have a petition going on to repeal a $210 licensing fee for teachers. Essentially this is meant to be a hidden fee so that when teachers get done with their examinations and when they're about to go into their profession, they have to pay that fee in order to start teaching. And so on this laptop, I want all of you guys to sign this petition.
If you want to.
Yes, so that we can all
sign it right now.
so that we can come closer to repealing this fee, because it's very fiscally irresponsible for them to tag fees onto our teachers, and it's also immoral. So I really appreciate it if you sign this petition after the meeting concludes.
The majority of the money goes to Pearson, just so you all know. If you're familiar with Pearson.
Pearson is in our textbooks?
Wait, it goes to a textbook company?
What's that?
The money goes to a textbook company?
Yeah, to Pearson, yeah.
Wait, what money? What money?
The $210 fee, about $200.
Oh, if they tack on the fee, it goes to Pearson.
Pearson also gets the money for the testing that teachers have to do, like our content, our pedagogy, some of that money goes to Pearson as well.
Yeah, essentially this is like another fee for standardized testing accreditation. So it's a new fee for new teachers as they go in and go get licensed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, if you guys want to do that at the end, please sign that, but whatever you want to do.
Okay, hey Nick, how many petition signatures are we at right now?
109.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
So
Good job, guys.
we need 91 more to fit our goal, to get our goals satisfied.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if